And what you see here is a plane making a landing during the early morning hours on Friday at the Naha airport. Definitely some strong crosswinds out there and a very a scary situation. And what we have been seeing throughout the day today across much of Okinawa and the southern Japanese islands for that matter, some strong winds being felt. Max wind gusts thus far upwards of 100 kilometers per hour. We've definitely been seeing the winds pick up in just the last few hours. We actually have some rain bands pushing over Okinawa here as of 7 p.m. here on Friday. The fact of the matter is it has been windy out there. We've actually seen some damage, a few people sending in photos from us, and it's only going to be getting worse. Photo actually coming to us from Okinawa, a tree blowing down. It's a smaller tree, but it's just kind of a sign of things to come. Most buildings, though, on the island definitely built to withstand these types of winds. So you're seeing it hit the side of a building here. There's no damage to the building. We've also been seeing some large waves, which really goes back to those of you who think you're going to be venturing out towards the coast in this storm. You want to be staying indoors. Let's talk about the forecast of this because it definitely is very serious. We can take a look actually at the latest forecast from JMA. They have winds at this time expected to gust upwards of 234 kilometers per hour. Based on their current forecast, that really does seem likely. We've actually even been seeing a trend farther and farther towards the west, so where those max wind gusts will occur may not be on the northern extent of this island, but actually farther towards the west in the more populated areas of Naha, and where a lot of those of you from the military actually live farther off here towards the north around Okinawa City. Right now, the current track from JMA and GTWC actually takes it right over Kunigami, where that tragedy took place last week. Remember with Typhoon Fanfun when that pushed well offshore, created some high waves. But if this does track farther towards the south, it actually could mean some significant differences. And what I mean by that, I know it seems very small, but if it does track just off the southern portion of the island, that would put you right here in the right front quadrant. And a few of the agencies, not just JMA and JTBC, but some of the other agencies, leaning back towards the west around Naha as well. Right now, the consensus seems to be just north of the city. You're still in the eye wall though, and that's where the strongest winds are. So right now, definitely time to start batting down the hatches. Let's take a look at the in-depth forecast here, not just the overall lines here, but hour by hour with our Meteo Earth app, and you can really see right here the kilometer per hours in winds. As far as Friday is concerned, the rest of the day the winds are going to be here, and what we're going to be seeing in the forecast is a persistent strengthening. See, the thing with this storm system, we have a high pressure off here towards the north, and it's the same high that's kind of been interacting with us, keeping the forecast back and forth. You know that it's been farther here towards the east, and in the last several warnings from JTWC and JMA, it's been leaning farther towards the west. It's all due to interactions with high pressure systems and basically subtle interactions with upper level features farther here towards the north. So also that same high is creating a high pressure gradient, and these lines really close together. So that's why you've been seeing these intense winds, and it's going to gradually increase the lower the pressure gets and towards the center of this storm system until Friday evening. That's when the winds are really going to kick up, because you're going to start to see that eye wall push overhead, and that eye wall within that core of this storm system, you can see it on the visible satellite imagery. That's this area right in here around that eye, and you see these higher cloud tops. Once you get inside of that, we're talking about that 150 kilometer per hour plus winds, the stuff that really could cause some damage. So I noticed some people, and we did get reports, people are still out and about here on Friday, and the winds are to the point where it could start being dangerous. But throughout the day on Saturday, it's going to be more dangerous, and by Saturday evening, you need to be indoors if you are out here and you are ahead of this storm system as it pushes overhead and off there towards the north. This is actually max wind gusts from the ECMWF model, and you can see really where those highest winds are, and they actually have it a little bit farther towards the south of the track. As I mentioned earlier in the update, if it did take that southern track, that would put you in the right front quadrant, but you can see the wind field is actually fairly large on this. So you're still going to be impacted. Let's talk about the long-range forecast here, not just from the winds, but also from the precipitation. The good news, a lot of people are comparing this with Nauguri earlier this year. It doesn't look like the precipitation is going to stick around as long as Nauguri did. You're still going to see some rainfall for the southern Japanese islands. I think the rainfall threat is going to be more so for much of mainland Japan, specifically Kyushu and the Shikoku area, the mountains out here. Anytime we see a storm come on shore, it just pumps that that moisture onshore with it, especially from the south and the east. And that's where you see this right here, all that moisture continuing to ride around the southern periphery of our storm, and it hits these mountains, and it just acts like a sponge, squeezes it out, and we could easily see 300-400 millimeters, maybe more than that. As we take a look at the longer range forecast, storm continues to track towards the northeast, eventually impacting the Tokyo area by Monday night into Tuesday morning with some gusty winds. Even those of you in the Yokosuka locations right near the immediate coast, I do think you're going to be seeing some potentially gale force and tropical storm strength winds as this pushes overhead. So a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to continue to keep you posted here at westernpacificweather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, always post them down there in the comment box below. Always appreciate your feedback. And we will keep you posted on how this storm system develops over the next several days. But we're going to have a live webcast for you Saturday evening and in the Sunday morning. So stay with us. Stay safe, guys.